So welcome, my name's Sally Smith and this is Kimberly Woods, and we're the co-facilitators of Pathways to Success. And we want to welcome you. And we're going to start by talking about what we're going to go over tonight. We're going to do a check-in, and then we're going to have an announcement, and then we're going to do the binder review, and then we'll do a couple of exercises, and then we'll talk about next steps. So we're going to start out by going through the binder. So for you new tonight, we're going to be going through your binder. The big picture of the binder is it's your toolkit. So it's everything all in one place. So when opportunities arise for scholarships or interviews or internship fairs, you'll have everything you need right there, and you won't have to scramble, to get it all together. So the first page in your binder is a place to write down month by month, one step you can take to get you closer to your goal. So at the end of this meeting, we're going to talk about our the March square here, and I'll ask you to write down one thing you can do this month that will take you closer to your goal. So the big idea here, my favorite saying, is the difference between a dream and a goal is a timeline and an action plan. And this is a way to break down your goal into bite-sized chunks and allows you to make progress month to month. The next page in your binder is an activity checklist. Now the top are all the account signups that you can do, and then different test type activities like signing up for the SAT or ACT or the PSAT, resume-related activities, and then essay-related activities. So, as you go through the program, you can use this checklist to, again, make progress towards your goals. And then, so the next section of the binder is the resume section. So you'll see 5 worksheets, and so we'll go through them one by one, and we'll give you an opportunity to jot down some notes and add information to them. So resumes are useful for a lot of different things, and we'll keep coming back to these themes this evening. So jobs, internships, scholarships, and networking opportunities. There are 2 types of resumes. One we call the kitchen sink resume, so that's everything you've ever done. You just keep it all on one resume, and that's like your master resume. And then when you have an opportunity, you take the applicable things off of your kitchen sink resume, and then you have a targeted resume. So let's say you wanted to apply for an internship. Maybe one of the things that's really important is all your community service. You'll grab that from your resume, from your kitchen sink resume, and put it into your targeted resume. Whereas for a job interview, what you might want is your work experience and your education, and you'll want to yank those out. So, you'll have the master one, and then you'll be able to form the targeted ones. And the worksheets serve a couple of purposes. They have detailed record keeping. So if your path is to, say, for your college, scholarships and college applications want really granular information about the activities and things you've done, and these worksheets can do that. They're also the building blocks for resumes. So we'll go through one by one. And then as we do, I'll give you an opportunity to jot down notes. You won't be able to fill them all out right now, but you'll be able to make your notes so that later you can go in and fill in the blanks. So the first one is your education worksheet. This is what it looks like. It has a from and a to date and the name and location of the school or program. And these are the things that you want to think about and jot notes about. What high school you currently attend. If you've attended any other high schools, you want to write those down as well. If you belong to an academy or a pathway, you want to write that down. If you take honors classes, AP classes, things like that, those go there as well. And then if you've participated in any educational enrichment, that goes there too. And again, if you have any certifications, so say you're a lifeguard, or you have a CPR certification, or you're bilingual. So those are the things that all go on that education worksheet. So you can take a couple minutes now and just jot down things on your worksheet that you want to add. And if anybody needs a pen or binder paper, we have those too. So I'll give you a couple minutes for that. Okay, so the next worksheet is your work experience worksheet. So this is where, if you've worked for pay, that work experience goes. But there are also things that you can do where you may not be paid, but that also counts as work experience. So say you work in the office here at school, you're learning all sorts of new skills. So that would go in your work experience worksheet. Maybe you have a family business and you work for your family business, but you don't get paid for it. That would also count. Maybe you do babysitting for your younger siblings or caretaking for your grandparents, or maybe you're the interpreter for your parents. All that can count as work experience. So that's what you want to write down on your work experience worksheet: the from and to dates, the hours per week, total hours, the employer, and your job title or the nature of the work you do. So we'll give you a couple minutes to jot down what you might have for that sheet. Okay, and if you flip to the next page in your binder, you'll come to your community service worksheet. So this is a list of all the places that you've ever volunteered. So you want to list things like, say you're in Key Club and you do service projects in Key Club. This isn't the place where you actually list Key Club, but it's a place where you list your service projects. The same, say if you're in Scouting and you do service projects, or you're in National Honor Society and you've done your group service project. This is where you list all those service projects. If you're in a church group and you go feed the homeless, whatever that community service looks like, this is the place where you put it down. And that sheet, you want to, again, do the from and to date, the total hours, the organization that you served, and the specific nature of your service. So we'll give you a couple minutes to jot down your community service. Okay, now the next sheet, if you flip the next sheet over, this is for your extracurricular activities. And this is where you list all the clubs that you belong to, sports you play, like if you're in the band, if you're in ASB, or any other organized things you do when you're not in school. So for example, if you're in Scouting, this is where you put your membership in Scouting, as opposed to the community service projects you do while you're in Scouting. This is where you put that you belong to Key Club, or that you belong to Drama Club, or whatever that extracurricular activity you do, this is where you put that. And so this sheet looks a little different. It lists a column for each grade, 9, 10, 11, 12, the number of hours per week, the number of weeks per year, the organization and the positions held, and honors received and letters earned. Because college and scholarship essays often require this level of granular information, and they often ask it exactly this way. So that's why we've set up this worksheet that way. So you can go ahead and jot down the information for that worksheet. Okay, and then the last sheet is your honors and awards worksheet. So this is where you'll list all your academic awards, your athletic awards, your citizenship awards, and any other type of recognition you've received. And so this is what that looks like: the date that you received the award, the grade you were in, and then what the honor or award was. So you can jot those down as well. Okay, and then the next thing, if you flip the next page in your binder, you'll see the list of action verbs for resumes. And these are words you can use to make your resumes more impactful. So instead of saying, I did this, you can say, I facilitated this, or I generated that. You can find words that will catch your reader's eye. So that's a good resource. And then the page after that is a sample resume. And you'll notice that in this resume, it corresponds to all of your worksheets. So you can just take that info and plug it right into the resume. Resume doesn't have to look like this, but it can. And if you go to pathwaysplan.com, you can find the Word document that you can download that is this document. So you can just take out this info and put your own info in it. So the keys to impactful resumes, as I talked about, we want to use action verbs. That can be really impactful. You want to use quantities whenever possible, and you want to be as specific as possible. So which is more impactful? If you said, I did a group project that gave free books to school kids, that sounds great. But what if you said, I led 15 classmates in collecting donations of 350 children's books, then organized 3-person teams to deliver books to 10 first grade classrooms at 5 Elk Grove elementary schools. That really will wow somebody, because that really is specific and it really says what you did. So that's the kind of thing, you want your resume to be thoughtful, and you want to be as specific as possible, and use numbers when possible, and use those action verbs. So if you flip over, the next piece of your binder is a sheet protector, and this is where your completed resume can go. So you want to print it out and keep it there, because again, the whole idea is to have everything all in one spot. Of course, you want your resume digitized too, but you want to keep one copy in your sheet protector. So the next section of your binder has to do with letters of recommendation. And why you need letters of recommendation. Again, we come back to colleges will use them. Job applications can use them. You can use them for scholarship applications and for internships. And now who to ask? Well, you want to ask people who know you well. That's really important because the more they know about you, the better letter of recommendation they can write for you. So you definitely want to ask teachers. You want to ask at least 2 teachers. If your path is to a 4-year college, it's helpful to have a teacher that teaches a subject that's aligned with what you think you want to study. So say you want to study engineering, you definitely want a letter of rec from your math teacher. If you're going to be a history major, you want a letter of rec from your social studies teacher. Things like that. You also want to ask your counselor, and then you want to ask community leaders. So, for example, the Elk Grove Regional Scholarship Foundation, a lot of those scholarships want letters of recommendation from a community leader. Some colleges that use a Common App allow you to have a recommender who's a community leader, so that's important. You definitely want to ask people for whom you do community service. So even as you're going into the community service project, you can say, I'd appreciate a letter of recommendation when I wrap up my community service, because you want to do it in a timely way, because you want them as you do it, rather than having to go back and ask later. And of course, you also want to ask your employer. You can ask your coach. So, you know, the adults that you interact with, those are the people you want to ask. Now, how to ask. You can either do a verbal request or a written request. When they agree, you want to make sure to agree on a timeline. So you can say, do you think you'll be able to have this done in 3 weeks? And then that way your expectations are aligned. And then if 3 weeks comes and goes and they haven't sent you the letter, you can circle back and say, I just wanted to check in. How's the letter of recommendation going? When might I be able to expect it? Now, when you get your recommenders to say yes, you want to give them your resume and you want to give them your data sheet. And we'll talk about that. That's also in your binder. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then you want to ask for a non-dated letter because those have more longevity than dated letters, and you'll be able to use it for longer. And then once you get the letter, you want to make sure to send a thank you note. So, you can get thank you notes at the Dollar Tree, and you can just tuck them in your binder, and then they'll always be handy. But it does take a lot of energy and time and labor to write a letter of recommendation, so a thank you note is always warranted. Now, when to ask for letters of recommendation. For juniors, you want to ask teachers in the spring of your junior year. So you want to tell the teachers and your counselor that you're going to be applying for scholarships and you'd like the letter of recommendation. So what this does is it actually puts you in front of the line. You're asking at a time when they have the time and energy to write you a thoughtful letter, rather than in the fall of your senior year when another 100 kids are also asking. So, it lays a groundwork for a really nice, thoughtful letter of recommendation. And then when senior year comes along and you ask them for a college letter of recommendation, they'll already have written one. And so they can just build on that or tweak it, and you'll be in really good shape. And then ask other people whenever it's appropriate. So we've talked about that. So, when you're leaving your community service, when you're leaving your job, things like that. So this is the data sheet that we talked about. This just gives some assorted information about you, and this is one thing to give to your recommender. And on the back side of that is a self-evaluation. Be honest, not modest. So there's a section to evaluate yourself on academics, and there's a section to evaluate yourself on personality. And there's no right or wrong answer, but again, the more information, honest information your recommender has about you, the better your letter of recommendation will be. Now, when my son was a senior in high school, or a junior actually, the spring of his junior year, and he asked his counselor for a letter of rec, and he gave her his resume, and he gave her this kind of data sheet, and she actually incorporated a lot of the information right into his letter of recommendation. And that was all information she didn't have independent knowledge of. So those things are really helpful to be able to personalize those letters of recommendation, and that makes them even more powerful. And then following that is a sheet protector, and that's where the original version of your letters of recommendation go. And of course, you always want to scan them so you have a digital copy. And next, we're going to do interview tools, and Kimberly's going to talk about that.
Okay. So your next sheet in your binder will be your 30-second me, 60-second me worksheet. So what is a 30-second, 60-second me? On the worksheet, you will see a little bit about the goal for a 30-second, 60-second me and some questions to help you in writing your 30-second, 60-second me. Also at the bottom, there's interview preparation, and we'll go over that portion a little bit later. So a 30-second me, 60-second me is your verbal resume. It's a way to introduce yourself to someone, something that you say to them that's very pointed, very concise, something that you're going to say to help them remember who you are. When will you use it? At job fairs, career fairs, the college fair like WACC that we hope all of you will attend, whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior. It's not too soon to get started. And then also networking opportunities, and whenever someone inevitably says to you, tell me about yourself, because you're going to run up against this question in your lifetime many times. So you want to be able to tell them something meaningful about yourself, not just, oh, I like riding my bike, I don't really like school. That's not how you want to introduce yourself to someone. You want to be able to tell them something really meaty about yourself. So why is it important to have a 30-second me, 60-second me? People have a very short attention span. People are always in a hurry and have limited time, and you need to grab someone's attention quickly. So when you go to a college fair, the people at the booths, the people at the table, job fairs, they're going to interact with hundreds, maybe thousands of kids in one day over a couple of days, and you want them to remember who you are. So you want to say something in your 30-second me or 60-second me that's going to really help them to remember you and really want you for their school or want you for that job. So essentials of a powerful pitch, you want to be concise. I mentioned that earlier. You want to be clear. You don't want to use slang or fancy words. You definitely do not want to use texting lingo. You want to use powerful, use impactful words. That's where that sheet, the action verb sheet, can be very helpful as well in writing your 30-second me. And then tell a story. Who are you and what do you want? What are you doing? What are you here for? And then be targeted, meaningful. Say something, I've said that over and over again. And then be goal-oriented. What is it that you want from this introduction or from this person that you're talking to? And then have a hook. Again, snag your listener. Say something that you think will really help them to remember you. And then crafting your pitch. This is not something that is very easy or something that you should sit down and do very quickly. You want to take some time, write down what you do. So generate some ideas. Who am I? What do I like to do? Write a short story about yourself and then scale it down later. Write down your objective or your goal. What is this 30-second me? Is this for college? Is this for a scholarship? Is this for a job interview? What is this for? And then write 10 to 20 action statements. Again, going back to that sheet on the action verbs, that can be very helpful. And then walk away from it, let it sit. Don't try to go and edit it the same day that you brainstorm. So take time to brainstorm, walk away, and then come back and look at it, because you'll be fresh, and then maybe you'll think of some other things. When you go to edit your pitch, you want to read it out loud. You want to read what you wrote, listen to what it's saying, circle powerful phrases and visual words. So look at it, take time, see what's really in there that is really good, and circle it to make sure that you come back and utilize it, and then put the pieces together. What you do, who you are, and why they should give you what you want, because that's what you're doing when you have your 30-second and 60-second me. You want to record yourself or video yourself so you can hear how you sound, hear how your pitch is sounding, and then see how you present your pitch. And then final edit and cutting, and then practice on friends and family. Ask for feedback. Don't be afraid to get feedback from people. It's very helpful. Memorize and practice again and continue to improve. So now you have your sheet. We'd like to give you 5 minutes to get started. Write down something that you would like to speak on. So think about, do I want to work on an interview pitch or a college pitch or a scholarship pitch, and then write down your objective or goal, and then write 5 to 10 things you want that person to know about you, education-wise, experience, interest, or what you can do for them. So that's where your worksheets come in very handy. So let's take 5 minutes to jot some things down. So the next worksheet in your binder is your Soar worksheet. So a SOAR is about situation, obstacle, action, and results. Again, at the top you have a little paragraph that explains it to you. And then there are 10 questions on that page. These 10 questions are extremely helpful in helping you to get information about yourself. Also information that, these are questions that could be asked at an interview, and also questions that can be very helpful in writing your essays. Also questions that can be very helpful in putting your resume together and your 30-second, 60-second me. So we really, really recommend that you take some time to answer these questions, maybe not all in one day, because you want to spend some time. As we go over the SOAR, you'll see that it takes some thought to answer these questions. So a SOAR illustrates your strengths during interviews and then allows you to be a more effective communicator, because in answering those questions, you'll be able to pull some things out about yourself and be prepared to answer very different questions. So a SOAR tells a story. Remember, we talked about in the 30-second me, 60-second me that you want to tell a story. So a situation, the context, who, what, where, and how. An obstacle, the specific issue that was addressed. An action, the steps you took to achieve your results. And then the results, the outcome of your actions and what you learned, what skill you gained, or what qualities you developed. So here's an example of a SOAR. This is the situation. All through high school, I've been the king of the grill. Whenever we've had a school-wide barbecue, I've been in charge of grilling the hot dogs. A couple of friends and I have grilled as many as 1,000 hot dogs for a single event. We're graduating in May, though, and we won't be around next year to be in charge of grilling. So isn't this a much more detailed thing than just saying, I grill hot dogs at all the events at my high school? He quantifies, as Sally mentioned earlier, he mentions that he grills 1,000 hot dogs for a single event. And so that makes it much more interesting to the reader. And it makes it much more interesting to the person who may be looking at hiring this young man or bringing this young man into their organization or giving him a scholarship, because it shows that he did a lot of work and that he didn't just barbecue, but he was very thoughtful about what he did. So what is the obstacle that this young man is facing? No one else showed any interest in grilling, but I needed to find people to replace us. So he needs to find a replacement because he's a senior. So what action did he take? I wrote down the different tasks involved in grilling for a big barbecue. Then I created a competition for freshmen in ASB. They formed teams of 4, and each team was in charge of grilling before a home game. We gave them the task list and helped when they had questions. The prize for the team that did the best job was getting pizza delivered for lunch. So he was very detailed in how he went about solving this problem. He made it fun, he made it interesting, he made it a game, and he also gave a reward. So he gave them something to get them interested in trying this out. What were the results? We had 3 freshman teams compete. They had fun, did a good job, and the activities directors ended up buying pizza for all the teams, not just the one who won. 6 of the freshmen are still helping and are set to take over as grill masters next year. I learned that if you make something fun, people are willing to step up and try new things. I also learned that it's helpful to tell people what you expect them to do and to also be available if they have questions. So this details all the different things that he did in order to solve a problem, which is another question that you will definitely be asked on maybe an essay or in an interview. So he really showed what he did, the result, what the problem was, and how he needed to get the answer that he needed. So these are the 10 questions that are on your sheet. So we're going to give you some time. Pick one of those questions and take some time to answer them. And remember, you're telling a story. So I'll go back to the screen with the questions and pick one of those, and we'll give you a few minutes to answer, jot some things down about it. So remember situation, obstacle, action, and result. Okay, well, Sally is going to talk about interviews.
Great. Okay, so when it comes to interviews, as Kimberly mentioned, at the bottom of your 30-second Me page, you'll see some interview preparation tips. But we're going to go a little deeper right now and talk about different interview situations. And, you know, these are sounding really familiar. You know, potential employers, job fairs, college fairs, internship fairs, scholarships. Some scholarships want you to do an interview, and some college admissions, they either have a mandatory interview or they might give you an optional interview. And if they give you an option for an interview, you should always take it, because if they can put a face with a piece of paper, you're always going to be better off. So if you have your interview skills in order, and you'll knock their socks off. It'll be great. So before your interview, you really want to research the school or organization or company. You want to know what they do, who they are, and what you might want to know about them, because they're going to ask you, is there anything you want to know about us? Or they might ask you about the organization itself. So, you know, do your research. Don't go in there cold. And then you want to make sure to have your 30-second and 60-second Me, and then have several soars. So this is where, as Kimberly said, if you already have your soars done, you know in your head that you have examples for when they ask you things like, tell me about a time when you were a leader. Tell me about a time when you taught someone something. So by having done those ahead of time, you'll be really well prepared for your interview. And then you also want to anticipate questions and craft answers. So these are some common questions. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? When it comes to what are your weaknesses, don't say something like, oh, my weakness is that I'm such a perfectionist and I'm always right. You want to be thoughtful about that. You know, we all have weaknesses, and whoever's interviewing you has weaknesses. So it's okay to say, you know, my weakness is when I'm under stress, I don't communicate so clearly. So these are the steps I've taken to improve on that. So if an interview hears you acknowledge and be self-aware about your weakness, but also that you have a plan to overcome the weakness, you'll get a lot of respect, I think, from the interviewer. It's also common to ask what your skills are and why you're interested in this opportunity. So give that some thought before you go into an interview. You know, what is it that interests you? And you know, maybe in your heart of hearts, it's like, I need a job, but you know, give some thought, and so you can have a good answer to that question. And then again, think of 2 questions you'd like to ask. One can be like a process question. What's going to be your process for making your decision, or when can I expect a decision? But another one should be something thoughtful about, it can be about, say you're interviewing for a college, it can be about the college, it can be about the person's experience in the job. Well, when did you start working here? And, you know, what are the 3 things you like best about working here? So, you know, kind of be original. And then you want to practice. You can always practice with your friends, practice with a parent or your sibling. You know, have them do mock interviews with you, because that'll help you get better. Then on the day of your interview, you want to dress in a way that's appropriate to your audience. So if you're interviewing with an art school, you will dress differently than if you're interviewing for a position on Wall Street. You know, it just depends on who your audience is. But, you know, there's just some basics like no wrinkles or missing buttons. You know, if you're aiming for business attire, and men, that means a suit, or it means dress pants and a nice shirt and a tie. Women, you want to make sure to watch the length of your skirt, and you want to make sure to wear small heels or dress flats. And then there's a whole set of grooming things, which are kind of common sense, but sometimes, you know, people let it slip by the wayside. But you want minimum makeup and jewelry. You never want to wear cologne. Don't chew gum. You know, have your recent haircut. Have clean fingernails and fresh breath. That's always great. And then make sure to bring a copy of your resume and a copy of your letters of recommendation, even if you know that they already have them, because you just bring them in a folder or a portfolio. And at the end of the interview, you can say, if you know you don't see that they have your resume or your letters of rec in front of them, you can say, can I please leave you my resume, a copy of my resume, a copy of my letters of recommendation. And so that's a nice way to leave an interview. Definitely turn off your cell phone. Don't just make it vibrate, turn it off. And make sure to arrive 15 minutes early. You know, it's easy to get caught up in traffic. It's easy to not quite know where you're supposed to be. So, you know, even if you're sitting in the parking lot for 10 minutes, it's okay. Get there 15 minutes early and then walk in about 5 minutes before your appointment. And then during your interview, for the introductions, make eye contact and smile and have a firm handshake. Don't sit down until you're invited to sit down. Don't just plop yourself down in the chair. Wait till they invite you to sit down. And then you want to speak clearly. You want to avoid slang. You don't want to ramble. But you do want to remember that it's okay to take a minute. When we're nervous, it's really natural to just want to fill up the space. So when someone asks you a question, you want to immediately start talking. But it's okay to just sit a minute, think about what you're going to say, and then say it. That's perfectly acceptable. And then watch your body language. Maintain your eye contact. You want to keep smiling, you know, when it's appropriate. Don't twist yourself up in a pretzel, you know, when you're really nervous. Sometimes you do that. So don't cross your arms or legs. Don't slouch. And have those 2 questions. And make sure to ask at least one, because they will say, do you have any questions for me? And the last thing you want to do is say, no, I'm good. You definitely want to have a question. And then after your interview, you want to send a thank you note within 24 hours. If you've been corresponding with them by email, an email thank you note is fine. Make sure that you include in your thank you note, reiterate your interest in the position and why you're a good candidate for it. You know, if it's a more drawn out process, a written thank you note is always appropriate. And then we wanted to talk to you about mock interviews, which we're doing a week from Tuesday at Laguna Creek High School Career Center from 6:30 to 8. And this is an opportunity. It's where Kimberly's usually the mock interviewer, and I'm one of the feedback people. But you just sit down, you tell us where you're going to interview, you tell us, oh, I want to interview for a job, or I want to interview for a scholarship or college. And then you have like probably about a 5-minute mock interview, and then you get feedback. And it's, you know, a real positive, real supportive environment. Students do need to pre-register, and there's a sign-up link on pathwaysplan.com, but there's also one in the email you would have gotten for this meeting. Make sure, and parents are welcome to come. You don't have to pre-register, just the students do. Come prepared, so tell us with whom you want to interview. And then if you're able to practice your 30-second me, that's awesome. You can practice it and give it to us in the mock interview. But if not, don't worry about it. You're still welcome to come. And then essays and transcripts.
So I just want to mention we already had one mock interview session, and we had 2 gentlemen from Monterey Trails to come. And one of the gentlemen, it was his first meeting when we announced it, and so he came and they did very well. So kudos to Monterey Trails for 2 students coming. So we're almost done, essays and transcripts. So in your binder, you have a sheet that tells you the essay prompts for Common App. And this is just to let you know that they will be the same prompts for 2019 and 2020. And then this, the coalition application essay prompts, they will be the same for 2019 and 2020. And then the universal app, this is just to let you know that they may change. So just be aware that those essay prompts may change for the universal app. And then University of California essay prompts are also on your sheet. They may change as well, so be well aware of that. And then there's a sample external scholarship essay prompt. Also, there's 5 prompts down there for that. So again, the SOARs, the questions from the SOARs will be very helpful. If you answer each one of those questions, it will be very helpful in helping you devise your essays. And then we recommend that you select 4 different essay topics and that you get 4 really good essays done. And then you will be able to pull from each one of those essays and probably answer any other essay question that is on these papers. So just do 4 different ones. And then it tells you the word count, so make sure you follow the word count. And then you'll be able to devise any other essays that you need. You'll have a sheet protector after that, and that's where you want to keep a copy of 2 copies of your official transcript and 1 of your unofficial transcript. So seniors, we recommend that you keep 2 copies because you'll be applying for college and scholarships, and you want to be able to always have your transcripts on hand. And then everyone else, even seniors, you should also keep a copy of your unofficial transcript. If you're a junior, you should have gotten a copy of your unofficial transcript this year. If you haven't, you should be getting one, and you should make sure to ask because you want to check your transcript. Mistakes are made. So you want to make sure that you're on course with the classes and that your grades are what you really did get. So that's why it's really important to view your transcripts. And then at the end, you'll see some tabs in the back of your binder. That's for tracking. They're labeled by month, so January, February, down to November, December. And so when you begin to apply for scholarships, and everyone should be looking because they have scholarships out there for freshmen all the way up to seniors, even back in 8th and 9th grade, they have scholarships you can apply for. And so if the scholarship is due in March or April, you want to put it in the January, February section so that you will have it filled out and ready in time to get it submitted in March or April. So don't put it in the month that is due, you put it in the prior month. Then you have a section for miscellaneous and complete it. Then you have a wonderful tracking sheet so you can keep track of the scholarships that you apply for, the amount that they are, and the date you submitted it, and did you win or not, and make sure you send a thank you note, and then date paid. So whether you win the scholarship or not, you want to send a thank you note. Sometimes that really, I've heard of people who went in for job interviews and they sent a thank you note, and because they sent a thank you or they went back in to say thank you, they got the job because they really appreciated the fact that they appreciated the interview. So that's why a thank you is really important. And then the last one, the last sheet protector, is a business card holder. So when you go to the college fairs and you collect those cards, you have somewhere to come back and put them and keep them organized. Or if you go to a job fair or networking opportunity, you have somewhere to keep those cards. So take a minute. Moving forward, if you go back to the sheet, the very first sheet that Sally talked about that's in your binder, and it's broken down by months. We'd like you to take some time and jot down one thing you can do to get closer to your goal. So in the March section, and we talked about your 30-second me, your resume, your SOARs, and drafting an essay, whatever is important to you, jot something down in that March section that you can do to get you closer to reaching one of those goals. So we'll give you a minute to do that. Okay, and then what's next? So this is pathwaysplan.com. So if you want to go over the information that we went through tonight, you can go to pathwaysplan.com, go to in-depth topic info, go to topics, and then you'll see the page where it says the binder, and click on that. And then you want to go to links and resources, and then it has links for you and gives you some of the information, or most of the information that we went over tonight, so you can go back over that. And then also there's one for interviewing. So you click on that box, and again, you want to go to links and resources or next steps you can take and get more information on that. So what's next? We'd like each one of you to please complete your evaluation form and turn it in. Register for the mock interviews in March if you're interested. That's for students only. Parents, again, are always welcome. And then in April, we'll be talking about how to write amazing college admission and scholarship essays. And be sure to check out pathwaysplan.com because we're always putting things in there. And thank you guys so much for coming tonight.